Welcome once again, friends. Now, I would be taking you further into the world of creativity, wherein as of now largely we are talking about creative management or management of creativity perspective, which is projected the same way in several textbooks and texts which you would be using or would be referred to. But you see, as I have always been saying, that creativity is abstract. The abstract perspective of creativity most of the times takes it beyond that management element actually, but still somehow we have to systematize things in terms of looking into the aspects which we have been talking about. And this slide generally is the reference to the target audience, the product concept and so on. We have been talking about this at length, but the most important thing which I want to talk about here when before this creative work begins, the thought process associated with that, which has these elements listed in front of you. So I would not be reading those, but watch this, one of the most beautiful advertisements. To me it's one of my favorites. Samsung India service advertisement, will take care of you wherever you are. I think that was one of the most watched advertisements in 2017, and I liked it. And then the storyboard is like this person, this service person of Samsung gets a call from a girl, and she says that I have lodged a complaint for my television, so when would you be reaching? So he says that within no time I'll be coming there. So she says that please come before 7 anyhow, 7 in the evening. And then he says, yes, I would be there. And then that's how the story goes. And just watch this advertisement, this beautiful story, actually narrative. This guy never knew that he is going into the deeper hills somewhere, and he crosses so many, their van crosses so many obstacles, but this guy is enthusiastic actually, and he finally crossing so many obstacles while getting repeated calls from, or one more repeated call from the girl. He reaches there, and then he finds that the girl can't see, and she takes her in, and then he attends to the television complaint. And then when she says that is it ready to be watched now, so he says yes, and then she calls her friends, and all of them, they can't see. And then they are anxious about the program which is about to come on that television show, and that is a reality show wherein one of their friends who also can't see is singing, and they start enjoying that song. You see, that is a beautiful, wonderful campaign kind of, which actually takes the service provider, the Samsung service, close to the hearts of the customers, that they actually care for you. And this word care livens itself, when you put it alongside that kind of a story and narrative and that beautiful picturization which they have done. And then so that you start meaning by that we care. And I remember one more campaign of I think Tata Sky, when this young girl, she calls up that kind of would you put up a dish antenna at my home, and where are you calling from? So I am calling from the last house of the last village of the country, somehow that beautiful. So and he says ki aapne keh diya, ho gaya. You see, you have said it, it's done. So that is the perspective of kind of that we care and we are associated with that. But while going for that kind of a narrative and that kind of a storyboard, you have to have that kind of an element of target audience and product concept, and media you would be using and so on, and then the message strategy you have in mind. So that is, but how would you realize this? Creativity. And these advertisements actually, and again I have talked about that one quite a bit, I think 2 times earlier, but this hospital advertisement wherein that this elderly couple, So the lady is being taken care of that hospital, and they say that we don't want you to keep, we don't want you to be here in the hospital for a longer time. घर से अच्छी कोई जगह नहीं होती. So that kind of a perspective is there. Look at these beautiful. Sometimes I salute to Indian advertising world. They have created, you know, a magic around us, and we are just discussing that. So we have to feel it that way. That's all, and that is what this subject is all about. So transforming the concept, adapt, change context, move away from the obvious. And we have just seen in this service example, you know, everyone serves their customer, but how they have moved away from the obvious of. Then imagine, let your imagination fly, how you can get associated. Everyone wants to tell their patients that we care for you. So how this advertisement actually talks about that. Reverse, look at it backwards or upside down, and we are talking of the elements of creativity. I said it is beyond you know, the scope of putting it into, you know, a sequence of elements, but still we have to look into the aspects associated with that. Connect what? Two unrelated ideas. Sea and sky can be connected, yes it can be. Flowers and bees, no, they are connected already. So but still, you know, connect unrelated ideas and aspects kind of. So airlines and food, they are connected but not so. So that is how they want to project that. I remember one advertisement of a detergent wherein they say that they you know, they are good for colored clothes as well as they are for whites. Now that was a very wonderful kind of a campaign wherein you see most of the detergents they have been focusing upon whites actually. And most of the soaps have been focusing upon beauty, but then there are soaps which have been focusing upon hygiene and cleanliness and so on. And there was one particular soap which was focusing on rural areas, and they had different kind of a perspective to be projected there. So they went for similar kind of a storyboard. Compare what? Two unlike things, and then eliminate, subtract something, and parody, jokes, fun, rhymes, rhythm and whatnot. So adapt, imagine, reverse, connect, compare, eliminate, parody, jokes and rhymes, rhythms and you know, poetry and so on. And then you will find so many elements along with that. So just look into this and then just start. The specific reason for me to talk about these kind of elements is you know, that whenever you look at one advertisement, start marking out these within that frame. Picture, this printed advertisement or television advertisement or internet storyboard or whichever way. Now you see determinants of creativity, and do you remember this Lalita ji campaign? Lalita ji, आपकी साड़ी मेरी साड़ी से सफ़ेद कैसे? Now there was a beautiful, I promised you that I will be talking about Surf's turning around strategy, wherein Surf Excel दाग अच्छे हैं was definitely wonderful, but before that, much before that, this campaign worked wonders for the product, because Lalita ji, a very famous TV actress, she appears in this advertisement and someone asks her on in that you know, story that Lalita ji, aapki saadi meri saadi se safed kaise? Now you see how your sari is more white as mine, as compared to mine, whiter than white actually. Now that was the concept which was brought for the first time by a detergent powder, and that actually turned things to a different kind of a direction. So that is where we are referring to divergence, originality, flexibility, elaboration, synthesis, artistic value. You know, how your white is more white than me. Now, you see, that was that is you start looking at whites with different kinds of perspective. At least I wonder many a times. You know, I haven't before that. I never noticed. You know, I used to be in school if or you know, later years of my schooling that day, those days if I remember correctly, and you know, I started watching the shirts of other people, comparing the whiteness of you know, their whiteness with my whiteness. So wherein you see this This takes you towards the divergence actually. Nirma, washing powder, Nirma. Doodh si safedi. Now that was again a beautiful thing basically. An Indian detergent market, an Indian this cosmetics market, Indian soap market, there we have come a far way as far as food, friends and thumbs up. Never a soft drink wanted to project itself with food and friends and thumbs up kind of. And there was a campaign I remember when in an executive kind of a meeting wherein the service person comes in and he asks for the sir, what would you like to have, and it's a meeting going on and the CEO says that I would have coffee. Now I am not comparing soft drinks with coffee, please do not take it that way, but you see in executive boardrooms usually people ask for coffee, tea or some some drink which brings in serious aura to whatever we are going through, and this young executive hesitatingly asks for thumbs up. And CEO also says thumbs up, and that is where thumbs up started projecting itself as the part of executive meetings. You see, that is where soft drinks they became in part of boardrooms actually, pivotal change, a turning point actually. So that is where divergence, originality, flexibility, elaboration comes in. Although many a times I should not be saying that I do not like that, there is lots of creativity available in those kind of advertisements also. One funny advertisement wherein this movie star saves the girl just when she holds the strap of his this bathroom slipper. I do not remember this kind of, so he wants to say that this bathroom slipper is so strong that anyone can hang from as far as the cliff goes. You remember what I am talking about, and he is a very famous movie star. So I am not denouncing that is again related to lots of creativity, but kind of. So and that is where relevance comes in. So the advertisement which I just referred to, does it sounds relevance that the bathroom slipper is so strong that someone hangs through the strap of on the cliff of a mountain? Is it that way? But still it makes sense when we talk of abstract creativity. But then if you are talking of safe driving and you have safety provisions and you are projecting 8 airbags, then definitely there is a relevance perspective. There can be other such kinds of डर के आगे जीत है is lots of creativity, but relevance, yes, it is there, I should say that. And I am not synthesizing taglines or advertisements, I am not denouncing it, I am just wondering loud in front of you that how things can be. But then when someone runs alongside a cheetah and goes and drags Mountain Dew from his mouth and drinks relevance, well, the person is very passionate about Mountain Dew, so relevant, definitely relevant. So now, so that is what I am trying to project actually when we talk of determinants of creativity and so on. And Young's creative process. So Young is a big name in the field of integrated marketing communication, as you know, and that is where we talk about these 5 elements. And you see one very important thing which we should remember, that creativity definitely is an observable kind of thing. It is something which we have to associate ourselves with, and it must be seen with the eyes of the people who are creative, the practitioners, and that is why we have been naming the stalwarts and people who have been related to this field, who have been creative by themselves, who have actually defined and redefined creativity, and that is where this slide also is related to one such experience based kind of an expression, wherein first element is immersion. Get raw material and data and immerse yourself in the problem, how you want to look at it, somehow similar to what business we are into. Many times have you wondered that how you should be actually projecting, let us say, erasers, if you have to at all advertise about those? Notebooks, you definitely can say that those are beautiful notebooks. But apart from beauty, what kind of relevance would you try to put up to a plain simple paper? People started saying bond paper. Then one automotive started putting up the strength of their engine in their advertisements, and it became a brand name actually. Although there is, it's a technological, kind of combination of words basically, which sounds in terms of acronyms or let us say short forms, but then that actually is projected in terms of relevance and so on. Digestion, take the information, work it over, wrestle with it in your mind. What would you be saying about it? And that usually happens in our lives basically. We are about to go for an interview, we think in terms of how we would be introducing ourselves. Have you ever not tried rehearsing on one universal question which is asked to everyone in this world? Tell us something about yourself. Now that is such a universal question which probably is asked to a prospective student, a prospective employee, except for a prospective customer. No, we do not ask customers these kind of questions. But you see, the point is that wrestle with it in your mind. Incubation, turn the information over to the subconscious to do the work. Illumination, and you see, you get this idea. What would you project? Hoodie Baba was an advertisement of an automotive company, wherein you see kind of you start going for a motorbike and you are riding it smoothly and you are going around, and it started working. That you see, you want that to be differentiated actually. And then how that Hoodie Baba came in? Hoodie Baba basically is a part of a song line, if I remember correctly. So you see, that is how. And you see, the script of movies like Sholay has been continuously used by many creatives all around. Kitne aadmi the, how many were there? That great Gabbar Singh asking that kind of a question, and you see several times such kind of things have been used by people. So you see, that goes through where immersion, digestion, incubation, illumination and verification, wherein study the idea, evaluate it, reshape it for practical usefulness so that people can remember it, so on. How would you project a light bulb for its brightness? Everyone knows that light bulb is bright. Then what would you say for its sustenance, length, that it will go on forever and ever? Yes, people have been doing that. For what else? You see, these are the questions which are very important when we are talking of such kind of products, and that is our concern, and that is the victory of creatives who struggle with these kind of things time and again. Just a glimpse of creative team, copywriter, art director, media planner, they constitute a creative team, and which goes for creative brief. Now this is slightly a procedure how it happens, and I will be giving you a glimpse of the same in due course of few minutes from now. But you see, all these people are creatives largely, they have that bend of creativity in their minds. Even the media planner or account planner, who helps them in taking things towards that kind of a level. Art director, for definitely that he is the person actually who look into the complete scenario with a direction, and copywriter who puts everything on the paper. So that basically, and there are, I have been repeatedly suggesting you that for one single tagline coming alive in the form of a message and an advertisement through a visual, a video, or whichever way you look at it, hundreds of people are involved, starting from people who conceive it, starting from people who actually think about their own products as they should be projected, and then people who try to understand that, people who try to visualize that, people who try to put words on that, people who try to write a script around that, people who actually shoot that, people who create music around that, people who actually infuse that, people who actually edit that, and so on. And then people who take those messages to you at the end of the day. And let us talk briefly about what creative briefs are. Now, this can be understood as a foundation for the concept of idea that will become the visual or verbal message. You just structure it somehow, and while structuring that, you keep on developing questions in your mind and answering questions in due course of time when you are writing about it. A creative brief must include all the information that the creative team requires to generate ideas and focus on the issues that must be addressed. And it is used by the creative team to define the integrated marketing communication message that needs to be communicated. Remember, I told you about one of the integrated marketing communication campaigns developed by Dainik Jagran, as in the form of personal messages they started sending their clients and even their many of their readers, and then they started putting those messages within the newspaper as such, wherein they created beautiful simple folders, wherein they used bold colors, red, yellow, and then many a times black as well. And for example, one a pencil is pasted on the front, and they say that these are our competitors, and you just open the folder and there is a bold marker pen pasted there, and they say that this is Dainik Jagran. Then in another folder, I have told you about this. So one single cracker and a series of crackers inside the folder, and several such beautiful messages were being sent to their customers in due course of time. So that is how they sort of thought of when they were writing this creative brief. They were thinking in terms of, for example, how a tire company can do think creatively. Zapper or MRF tires, Apollo tires, Seat kind of, and very beautiful campaign of Seat tires, if I remember, when someone is carelessly crossing the road and he doesn't looks at you and just talking to someone on a mobile phone, and you feel like you are bothered about how to save this person, and Seat comes to your help. Somehow the tire works well, and then he doesn't even looks at you somehow. So that is where you emphasize upon the kind of quality of a tire. Otherwise, tire is an indifferentiable kind of a product basically, and we have been talking about this element for quite some time now. Creative brief should redefine the target audience, introduce the key consumer benefit, describe the individual features, and so on. And what is the strategic element while we are writing the creative brief? You see, issues to consider: who, why, what, where, when, how. And then elements of the brief in relation to these issues are objective statement, support statement, and tone or brand character statement. So, and then again copywriting. Now, copywriting is the process of expressing the value and benefits a brand has to offer. We have talked about copywriting earlier as well, and you see, almost everything which is written about the advertisement is called a copy, but still those who write verbal messages are called copywriters, and is a composite art that requires a combination of linguistic ability and business sense. Linguistic ability. Have I mentioned poetry earlier? Yes, I have. Have I mentioned the context of scriptures or text earlier? Yes, I have. Stories? Yes. And a mixture of tones, dialects? Yes. Copywriters write copy and the associated headlines, slogans, baselines, etc. And then you see there are certain guidelines, and you can just go through those. We have talked about USP, but the most important element is the element of consistency and persuasiveness. Remember one thing, we have a limitation of language or words, all of us. I have mentioned this in the earliest most parts of our discussions, wherein I was referring to the words, magical words which are being used, and I have referred to hope and fear, remember that. Now, because of the limitation of language, we have to be unique in terms of the way we use words. For example, zindagi is a very commonly used word in many of the advertisements or messages, or contextually it is used somehow. But the way we emphasize upon, we stress upon that, we stress upon the syllables, we stress upon the elements associated with that, and how, you see, because it affects the persuasiveness. When it stays, it persuades, and that is what we want actually. We want, you see, all the advertisers, they want their customers or targets to move at that very moment when they say that aapki apni dukaan. So they want that you go to the mobile phone and start surfing for the products on Amazon. That's how, and that is what their approach is. So you see, just look into these elements with, admiration, as I have been saying, with in consonance to the purpose they have been solving. We have talked about the purpose and the elements of correlation of purpose with whatever we have been talking up till now. But here, now onwards, just look into the creative elements and how it touches upon the purpose of a particular communication you would have gone through. Recently, what have you bought? Have you purchased a gift for someone? It's Diwali time which is coming up, although you would be watching this video much later, but during this Diwali time you are purchasing gifts for someone. Yes, you would be, or you would be purchasing something for yourself as such. Yes, you would be. What you are looking for, how you are surfing for that, and where is that particular message or tagline or a story which is actually, how is it influencing you, where have you seen that, and what is the creative element which has actually compelled you to start moving towards that kind of a product. That is what we have to think about now onwards. So, I will leave you with this kind of a thought in the beautiful world of creativity around you, and I would once again suggest that watch colors, hear to music, listen to sounds, observe poetry around you, start bringing in 2-3 words, which hold meaning for you. Start saying those words in a beautiful way to someone you know, and observe for yourself how creative you have become. I will leave you with this thought. I will join you next time with some other elements related to the same, subject of creativity. Goodbye for now. Thanks for bearing me.